Have you ever hated someone only to discover they were quietly destroying themselves to protect you? For years, I believed my husband had changed. The man I married was warm, affectionate, and full of life. But somewhere along the way, he became distant, cold, secretive. He missed anniversaries, forgot birthdays, worked late every night. And no matter how hard I tried, it felt like I was losing him. I thought he had stopped loving me. I was wrong. The truth was far worse. And by the time I discovered what he had sacrificed for our family, it was almost too late. My name is Emily, and this is the story of the biggest mistake I ever made. The mistake of judging my husband before knowing the battles he was fighting alone. When I met Daniel, we had nothing. No savings, no house, no expensive cars, just dreams. And somehow those dreams felt enough. We rented a tiny apartment with leaking pipes and a heater that barely worked. Every winter we slept under 3 blankets. Every summer we shared one fan. Yet those were some of the happiest days of my life, because Daniel always made me feel safe. Whenever things got difficult, he would smile and say the same thing. One day I'll give you everything you deserve. I used to laugh. Not because I doubted him, because I already had everything I wanted. I had him. Then life happened. Our first child was born. A beautiful little girl named Sophie. 2 years later came our son Noah. Suddenly life became expensive. Really expensive. Diapers, food, school expenses, medical bills. The responsibilities never stopped. And Daniel changed. At first, the changes were small. Extra shifts, weekend work, late-night phone calls. Then it became something else. He was barely home. When he was home, he looked exhausted. His smile disappeared. The laughter disappeared. Even his eyes seemed different. I started feeling like a single parent. Every school event, every doctor's appointment, every family gathering, I attended alone. People started asking questions. Where's Daniel? Why isn't he here? Does he ever spend time with the family? At first I defended him, but eventually I stopped, because I was starting to wonder the same thing. One evening was supposed to be special. It was our 10th wedding anniversary. I spent hours preparing dinner. The kids stayed with my sister. Candles were lit. His favorite meal was waiting. Everything was perfect. Except Daniel never showed up. 8 o'clock became 9. 9 became 10. By midnight, I was sitting alone. The food was cold. The candles had burned out. And my heart felt broken. At 1:30 in the morning, he finally walked through the door. Exhausted. Dirty. Barely able to stand. I exploded. 10 years of frustration came pouring out. I accused him of not caring. Not loving me. Not caring about our marriage. Not caring about the children. Daniel listened quietly. Then he apologized. Just apologized. No excuses. No arguments. No defense. And somehow that made me even angrier, because I wanted him to fight back. I wanted him to explain. Instead, he simply went to bed. The next morning he left before sunrise. Again. Months passed. Our relationship continued getting worse. The distance between us grew larger every day. Then something happened that made me question everything. One afternoon I received a call from Sophie's school. She had fallen during recess. Nothing serious. But she was scared. I rushed to the school. When I arrived, Daniel was already there, holding her hand, comforting her, making her laugh. For a moment, I saw the man I married, the man I thought was gone. Then his phone rang. The smile disappeared. He looked at the screen. His expression changed. And within seconds, he was leaving again. Back to work. Back to whatever secret life seemed more important than his family. Or so I thought. The breaking point came 6 months later. Our son Noah needed surgery. Thankfully, it wasn't life-threatening. But it was expensive. Very expensive. Even with insurance, the cost was overwhelming. That night I sat at the kitchen table crying. We didn't have enough money. I didn't know what we were going to do. Daniel looked at the estimate, then calmly folded the paper. I'll handle it. Those were the only words he said. 3 weeks later, he paid the entire bill. Every dollar. No loans. No debt. No explanation. Just paid it. I should have felt grateful. Instead, I felt suspicious. Where had the money come from? Why wouldn't he tell me? What was he hiding? The question started consuming me. One evening, Daniel fell asleep on the couch. His phone slipped from his pocket. For the first time in our marriage, I violated his privacy. I picked it up and unlocked it. What I found wasn't another woman. It wasn't gambling. It wasn't criminal activity. It was worse. Much worse. My hands started shaking. The phone contained medical records, hospital reports, test results, dozens of them, all belonging to Daniel. I couldn't breathe. Then I saw the diagnosis. My world stopped. Daniel had been seriously ill for nearly 2 years. And he never told me. Not once. Not ever. The next day I followed him. For hours. Across the city. Eventually he parked outside a medical center. I watched him walk inside. Then I followed. Quietly. Carefully. And that's when I heard the truth. The doctor was angry. Not because Daniel was sick. Because he was refusing treatment. You can't keep postponing this. Daniel sat quietly. You need rest. Silence. You're working yourself into the ground. More silence. Have you ever hated
Daniel
someone
finally
only
spoke.
to discover they
Words
were quietly
I will never
destroying
forget.
themselves to
My
protect
daughter
you?
wants to become
For
a doctor.
years. I
The
believe my
doctor
husband
stared at
had
him.
changed.
My son
the man I
needs
married
surgery.
was warm,
Silence.
affectionate.
My
and
wife
full
deserves
of life.
a better life.
But
The
somewhere along
doctor's
the way,
expression
he became
softened.
distant. Daniel looked
Cold.
exhausted, secretive,
Completely exhausted.
He missed anniversaries.
Then he said something
forgot
that
birthdays,
shattered my heart.
Worked late
If I spend
every
money
night,
on myself
and
right
no
now,
matter how hard
he
I tried,
paused.
it
They'll
felt
have
like I
less.
was losing him. I
thought
felt
he had
tears running
stopped
down my
loving me.
face.
I was
because
wrong.
suddenly
The
everything
truth was
made
far
sense.
worse.
Every
And
missed birthday,
by the time I
every
discovered
late
what
night,
he had sacrificed
every
for
extra
our family,
shift,
it was
every
almost
moment
too late.
I believed
My
he
name
didn't
is
care.
Emily.
He wasn't
And this is
abandoning
the story
us.
of the
He
biggest
was
mistake
sacrificing
I
himself
ever
for us.
made.
I
The
sat in my
mistake of
car
judging
for
my
nearly an
husband
hour
before
afterward,
knowing the battles
crying,
he was fighting alone.
remembering every
When I met
terrible
Daniel,
thing I had
we
said
had
to him.
nothing.
Every
No
accusation,
savings.
every
No
argument,
house.
every
No
moment
expensive
I made him
cars.
feel like a
Just
failure.
dreams.
All while
And
he was
somehow those
silently
dreams
carrying a
felt
burden
enough that would have
We
crushed
rented a
most
tiny
people.
apartment with leaking
And
pipes
he never
and a
complained.
heater that
Not
barely
once.
worked. Every
That
winter
night,
we
I
slept
confronted
under
him.
3 blankets,
Not with anger.
Every summer
with
we
tears.
shared one fan.
Daniel knew
Yet
immediately.
those were some of the
He
happiest
knew
days
I
of
had
my life.
discovered the truth.
Because
For a
Daniel
long
always
moment,
made me
neither
feel
of us
safe.
spoke.
Whenever
Then I
things
asked
got
the
difficult,
question,
he would
"Why didn't you
smile
tell me?"
and say
His
the same
answer
thing.
broke me.
One day
Because
I'll
I
give
know
you
you.
everything you deserve.
I stared at him.
I used to laugh.
He smiled sadly.
Not because I
If you
doubted
knew,
him. You'd
because
stop
I
chasing
already
your
had
dreams
everything
to
I
take care of
wanted.
me. I
My
had
heart
him.
shattered.
Then life
Because
happened.
he was right.
Our first
That's
child
exactly
was born.
what I would have done.
A beautiful little
Then
girl
he continued,
named Sophie.
I wanted Sophie
2
to have
years later
opportunities.
came our son Noah.
A tear rolled
Suddenly
down his
life
cheek.
became expensive.
I wanted Noah healthy.
Really expensive.
Another tear.
Diapers.
I wanted you happy.
Food.
I
School
couldn't stop
expenses.
crying.
Medical
All this time,
bills.
I
The
thought he loved work
responsibilities
more than
never
us.
stopped. The truth
And
was the
Daniel
opposite.
changed.
Everything he
At
did
first,
was
the
because
changes
he
were
loved
small.
us too much.
Extra shifts.
For the first time
Weekend
in years,
work.
we sat together.
Late night phone
and
calls.
talked. Really
Then
talked.
it became something
No
else.
distractions.
He was barely
no
home.
walls.
When he was
no
home,
secrets.
he looked
Just
exhausted.
honesty. His
And
smile
honesty can be
disappeared.
painful.
The laughter
but it can
disappeared.
also heal.
Even his eyes
That
seemed
night,
different.
Daniel finally
I
allowed
started
himself
feeling
to stop
like a
pretending
single
he was
parent.
okay.
Every
And
school
I
event,
finally stopped
every
pretending
doctor's
I understood
appointment,
what he was carrying.
every family gathering.
The months that
I
followed were
attended
difficult.
alone. Very
People started
difficult.
asking questions.
But they were also beautiful.
Where's Daniel? Because our
Why isn't
family
he here?
faced the challenge
Does he ever
together.
spend time with the
Not
family?
separately.
At first
together.
I defended him.
For the first
but
time,
eventually
Daniel
I
allowed
stopped
us to help him.
because I
to
was
support
starting to
him,
wonder the same
to
thing.
love him the same
One
way
evening
he
was
had
supposed to be
always
special.
loved us. It was
The
our
children
10th
spent
wedding
more time with
anniversary.
him.
We
I
created
spent hours
memories,
preparing dinner.
took photos.
The kids stayed with my
shared
sister.
dinners.
Candles
Laughed
were
again.
lit.
The
His
house
favorite
felt
meal was
alive.
waiting.
For years,
Everything
I
was
thought
perfect,
money was
except
the thing Daniel was
never
working
showed
to
up.
give us.
8 o'clock
I was
became
wrong.
9.
What he
9
was really
became
trying
10.
to give us
By
was
midnight,
security,
I was sitting
hope,
alone.
a future.
The food was cold,
and he was
the
willing to
candles had burned
sacrifice
out,
himself to
and
provide
my
it.
heart felt
Today,
broken.
whenever someone
At
asks
1:30
me
in the
what
morning,
love looks like,
he finally walked
I don't
through
think
the
about
door,
flowers,
exhausted,
or gifts,
dirty,
or
barely
romantic
able to
vacations.
stand.
I think about a
exploded.
tired man
10
leaving
years of
for work
frustration
before
came
sunrise.
pouring out.
A man
I
carrying
accused him
burdens
of not
he never
caring.
shared.
A
Not
man
loving me,
sacrificing
not
his
caring
own
about
health,
our marriage,
so his family
not
could
caring
have
about the
opportunities
children
he never had.
Daniel listened
because
quietly.
real love
Then
isn't
he
always
apologized.
Sometimes
Just
it's
apologized.
silent. No
Sometimes
excuses.
it's invisible.
No arguments.
Sometimes it looks like
no
exhaustion.
defense. And
somehow
sometimes
that made me
it
even
looks like
angrier
a husband
because
quietly giving
I wanted
away
him to
pieces
fight
of
back.
himself every
I wanted
single
him
day
to explain
so the people he loves
Instead,
can have a better
he
life.
simply went to bed.
I spent
The
years
next morning,
believing
he
Daniel
left before
had stopped
sunrise.
loving us. Again,
The truth
months
was
far
passed.
more painful.
Our relationship
never
continued
stopped,
getting worse.
not even for a second.
The distance between
And
us
if there's
grew
one
larger
lesson this story
every
taught
day,
me,
then
it's something
this.
happened that made
Before
me
you
question
judge someone's
everything.
actions,
One
make sure
afternoon,
you
I
understand
received
their
a call from
sacrifices.
Sophie's school
Because the
she had
strongest
fallen
acts of
during
love
recess.
are
Nothing
often the
serious,
ones nobody sees
but
that
she was
subscribe for
scared.
more.